Before I start the show, I want to thank all the Patreon supporters, paid and unpaid. You guys rock, and I appreciate you all. Season 10 is presented by Flojoy Water, Chris Roach's family business. Refresh your style with Flojoy artisanal mountain water, pure water, pure stoke, and essential toothpaste tabs, earth-friendly, adventure-ready toothpaste, clean ingredients, supported by science. Wired Snowboards factory in Vancouver builds high-quality custom snowboards for about the same price as other brands' regular boards. I've created several one-of-a-kind wired customs, including a Chase 162 that's seen hundreds of my best powder days. Get yourself a game-changing snowboard and join the Wired team with Devin Walsh, Sasha Daly, and many others. Wired Snowboards. For more information, go to wiredsnowboards.com. Fixed bindings are my go-to for all my snowboards because they're comfortable, durable, and look rad. Fix makes bindings I want to ride. Simple, lightweight, and dependable, made from the best materials, using the most environmentally friendly production processes possible. They offer lifetime warranty on bases and buckles. If you're looking for affordable performance bindings in the perfect color to match your fit, go to fixbindingco.com or grab them at your local retailer. Bluebird Coffee Tuning and Rentals in Squamish is the coolest new stop on your way to Whistler. Bluebird offers quality board tunes using state-of-the-art equipment, premium rentals for every level of rider with demos of Burton step-ons, and award-winning coffee and incredible smoothies. For a blend of expert knowledge, convenience, and lots of charm, stop by Bluebird in Squamish and get your board tuned at the newest mandatory stop on your way to Whistler. Pro Standard makes the grill mount the best mount for your Insta360 GoPro or DJI camera. It's a heat moldable mouth mount, tripod, hand grip, hook mount, bottle mount, wall mount, clamp mount, glove mount, and shoe mount, designed by snowboard legend Ken Ochenbach to get you the perfect angle for snowboarding, surfing, biking, and it'll replace 90% of your other mounts. Use code FNRad to get 20 off your first order at prostandard.com. Support also comes from our friends at the Boardroom Snowboard Shop. Check out boardroomshop.com and use code FNRAD10 for 10% off regular priced items and FNRAD5 for 5% off sale items. 1910, the collaborative artworks of Jamie Lynn and Scof. FNRAD20 saves you 20% off at 1910.com. New Greens, the superfood green drink sourced from American farms. Use code FNRAD for 20% off at newgreens.com. I want to thank DeKine Snowboard outerwear, travel bags, and backpacks, Rip Curl's Anti-Series outerwear, and our friends at Mount Seymour, Grouse Mountain, and Cypress Mountain for their support. Mikkel Bang is a professional snowboarder for Dragon, Nixon, and has been riding for Burton for over 20 years. He exploded onto the contest and filming scene as a Grom. It's hard to think of a more well-rounded snowboarder or a more well-rounded career. He won the U.S. Open Slopestyle in 2010 and filmed for the fourth phase with Brain Farm shortly after that. He did a whole competitive career without coaches, learning double corks without airbags, and won contests without doing the same run twice in a row. Mikkel Bang is the real deal. So stoked to have him on the show.
I feel like it's basically after New Year's until the end of April.
Yep.
That's kind of like the window. I mean, you could possibly do stuff in December, but it's kind of hard if you're like, I mean, if you're competing, then December you gotta
that's
compete.
a whole other thing, right? Yeah, Devin's like, we realized pretty early, like, man, you just ride in December.
Yeah.
December is when you come out, you dust off your gear, you ride like crazy, but everything you film in December looks a little weird, like a little, like,
yeah, and it's not
off.
always when, the snowpack is ready or, there's no base yet.
Totally.
You get a little bit excited in the beginning of the season, and then like Mikey Rents the other day, he hit a tree.
Yeah,
and
he's hurt.
Yeah, it's, it's not enough base yet, and there's a tree. Boom, So I feel like you said, just like spending that time to warm up, use those muscles that you haven't used in a while. Because you can go to the gym and stay healthy, and that will help you get on with your season. But at the same time, you can't really train those specific muscles or those movements that you do when you snowboard because it's so...
Yeah, I could see that. Like, there's no replacement for actually snowboarding that gets you, right? Like, no amount of bouncing on a yoga ball or whatever. I'm so dumb when it comes to training. I've never done it.
Actually, right. I think like skateboarding is such a good exercise.
Yeah, of course.
Like, but then again, like skateboarding is also like one of those sports where you could, fall over and, break your wrist or something.
And
then,
you're probably going to.
So it's it's kind of a dangerous way to warm up for the winter.
I think Craig would surf. I think Craig's off season, he would surf, and then he would he seemed to be in this mindset of balance. I remember someone saying because he was pushing up on a surfboard like that, he would stretch and get really strong the other way too.
Oh,
everything that he did, probably because he started in BMX, and in BMX, you're in a straight line. Your left and your right is, side and side.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in snowboarding, now you've got a dominant leg, you got a back leg you need to build up.
Yeah.
So he would ride switch a lot.
That's the same. I do this. Yeah, I do the same actually.
Rad. Oh,
whenever
man.
I'm on the hill and I ride and I can feel like I'm getting a burn, I always just but I also kind of go both ways all the time anyway because I think it's fun.
Yeah, we're talking 1991, right?
Yeah.
I just was.
I was born in 1990.
That's insane, dude. So 1992 was Riders on the Storm, and I just watched it the other day, and Craig in that is saying about Terrier, he's good and all.
Yeah.
But he's focusing on competitions, which is kind of lame. He's sort of saying that in 92.
Yeah.
But that 92 snowboard that maybe it was, actually, I think what you were riding was a 1990 or a 91.
Yeah.
The Craig Kelly with the binding set up. It was his board, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was his actual board. When you were riding that, the first images I saw of it, I thought it was
Have you
him.
seen it? You seen it?
I saw the images of you riding Craig's board.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's Craig. And then I was like, holy shit.
Wow, that's a huge compliment.
Being in his stance, riding his board in a place like Powder, like the way that he would ride, it makes you, either you're so insanely talented that you're like Craig, or there was something to his setup that was dialed.
Well, definitely. I mean, I didn't ride his exact stance.
Okay.
Like Jeff said that his stance was plus 27.
Yep.
And then the back foot was 17.
17.
But I took it down to, I think I left it around 20. I think I might have had 27 in the front, but I had plus 10 or plus 5. I couldn't go the full.
9. You couldn't do 17. It's
17.
too much. It's too much.
But also the boards that I ride the Burton Custom 170 wide, which is a really
huge.
wide board.
This one was that much thinner.
like Craig's board was really skinny.
Crazy.
But with the stance like that, it didn't matter. And what I felt was it was so much easier to turn. And the funny thing is that, and I told you this over the phone, but the story is that I was at Baldface and setting up my board for the next day, and then Jeff comes down and he's like, "Hey, what kind of board are you riding?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's a 170, blah blah." And then he's like, "I think I got something that you'll like." And then he comes in with the Craig Kelly slope style 171.
Yeah, sick.
And I was just like, whoa. And he's like, "This is Craig's board." And I'm like, holy shit. I never got to meet Craig, but I've always looked up to his riding and the path he chose and what he sees in snowboarding.
Yeah.
But But anyway, I saw that board and he was like, you want to ride it? You can. And then I spent all night like fixing the base was so dry. It had like hairs coming out of it.
Yeah.
And I spent all night like waxing it and prepping it. And then
I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
Because Craig, that's what he would do. By all accounts, like he would, like the night before a contest, he would strip his bindings down, like take the bolts out, make sure everything's clean, make sure that the
angles,
the angles, but like also like shit would break a lot back then. So like
I bet.
checking like the holes of his straps and just like, because he didn't leave anything I'm making that part up, that he didn't leave it to chance, that he was obsessed. Like he was like literally obsessed. And I was listening to your Jody interview.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about, I'm hearing you say basically the same thing about Travis Rice. But then also like I was watching that, I forget what it's called, Crystal Towers or something, like the ultimate pillow lines that Travis and Austin Sweeten do.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, as Austin's like checking his stuff, he's saying like left at the tree, right at the rock. Then like he's saying his recipe for the run, right?
Yeah, memorizing the way down. Yeah,
the way down. And
that's the way you got to go. Otherwise, it could be really dangerous. You know, if you don't
absolutely. Yeah, you can't go loose.
No.
You're not like looking, just going, I don't know what's over that thing, because you've studied and seen what's over a lot of that stuff is like rocks. Crevasses, whatever, like dangers. Yeah. So anyways, my point being, Craig doing that in 1989, 90, 91, people were like, dude, you're taking it so seriously. Yeah. Meanwhile, he doesn't have a coach.
No.
He's doing yoga and stretching. He's surfing for training. Like he wasn't taking it that serious because you couldn't. It wasn't possible. But it's cool that there's like this heritage of like the people that actually take it serious.
Yeah.
Like a Travis and like you, like anyone in natural selection, it seems like you got to take it serious. Like there's nobody up there just winging it. That's like, oh, I'll just follow the tracks. I hope I don't have to go first.
Oh, totally. I mean, technically you could wing it, but it would just end in probably something bad, or that you're just doing something blind and then maybe you get it.
Right.
But if you if you know where you're going, there's a landing, there's no trees, then you can kind of like set up and maybe do a trick, or like you're confident that like if you go that way, there's not going to be a rock or a tree to land on.
Right.
And that's the whole, obviously the snowboarding part, having fun and being out there and, trying new things and, reaching like doing stuff that you haven't done and challenging yourself, but at the same time being safe out there and coming home. I think that's really important part because, in the end we want to continue doing this for as long as we can. And and having been in it for as long as you've been in it, which is a long time now. You started like snowboarding when you were like 8. Like or 7 or something you were saying. Yeah, I was 7, but I'm also like born really early. My birthday is actually coming up. It's 8th of January.
Right.
So I did start snowboarding in December 1997.
Yeah.
And then so you can, I don't know, it's kind of 7, 8.
Sure.
Let's say it like that.
Like we're splitting hairs here, dude. Your whole life has been spent in pro snowboarding.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, because by the time you get a sponsorship, you're like 11 or 12 or something, right? Like you're a kid.
Yeah. So I feel like I was so lucky to be in Hemsedal, and the snowboard scene in Hemsedal, Norway was a big deal. Like,
it's going off.
Like it was super popular.
Yep.
The snowboard park, skiers weren't allowed.
Right.
Like super cool. Like, but I would ski past the snowboard park and look in, and just like see people doing like a foot air out of the like, you know, old school pipe and just being mind blown and just being like, holy
what
smokes,
is that?
like that looks so fun.
Did you say to your dad, like, can we go there?
Oh
like,
yeah.
That kind of thing?
Exactly. Like we would ski past it and then I would always like kind of look in, and then I told my parents, you know, like I was like, I really want to try that. And then, you know, my parents are super supportive and kind. I've been really fortunate with them as well. And they were like, yeah, we can do it. You can try it, but we have to rent first, you know, and see if you like it.
What was the rental board? Do you remember?
I don't remember. But it probably was a Burton, like a Burton Punch or something.
Sure.
And that's actually the first board I had to, I think it was a 135 something like that. 135 punch, yeah. I think it was something like that. It might have even been smaller. No, 138, I think. Anyway.
Yeah. Was it what was on it? Do you remember?
It was the base is really cool. I have it at home. It's like a kind of like a smiley face and a fork stuck in his brain. It's pretty sick. I actually I would have that graphic on my board right now. To be honest, it's super cool.
You should do it for next year.
Dude, I would love to.
Yeah, that would be friggin' sick.
I would love to.
Yeah, Burton's got such a heritage. It's such an incredible company. I worked for Boardroom for years and years, and they didn't carry Burton. So we kind of, there's no Burton hate there, but just not having it means that you're not paying attention to that part of the industry, which is a huge part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of innovation came out of there, like the team, the videos, the vibe, you know? Mm-hmm. And then when I quit and I started at the post office,
yeah,
I got a Burton Pro form, and I was like, every single thing I got, I was like, I felt like a kid again.
Yeah.
When I was a kid getting snowboard stuff, that same, like, how do they, look at how the boots lace up. You know what I mean? Like, look at you look at it in the off season, being like, I just cannot wait until I'm back out there.
And Burton has always been so good at like evolving too. So I feel like every year when the catalog came out or something, you know, that you were just like, oh wow, what's this?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I got to get my hands on this.
How early into the process do you get invited to like rider roundtable? Are you like a European rider for the first 3-5 years of your career? No, man, you instantly
I was
come to America.
Yeah,
right?
well, so the old Burton team manager, his name was Rene Hansen, and he was Norwegian. Happened to be Norwegian.
Sick.
And that's how I got put on the team, was him.
Okay. Is there a thing with Norwegians like there is with Canadians? Like, we know all the Canadian actors, like Jim Carrey.
Oh, for sure.
Dan Aykroyd. And like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, that guy's Canadian.
For sure. Just on a smaller scale.
Yeah, sure.
Just on a smaller scale.
Well, how big is Norway?
Norway has like, I think, this is the last time I checked, but I think it was like 6.6 million people.
Right, and
so we're kind of like this. We're kind of like this. If you compare to America, it's like the state of Vermont.
Okay,
so Norway would be like, small.
Yeah.
Because
I know
we think we're very large,
but there's a lot of Norwegian pride, right? Like
that's what I meant. Yeah,
when
Norwegians are very proud to be Norwegian.
I reached out to Terrier the first year. I always hate saying his name the right way. Terrier.
Yeah.
I reached out to Terrier the first year that I did the show.
Yeah.
And because my last name is Trollson.
Yeah.
His assistant was like, well, you're Norwegian, right? And I was like, I'm Danish.
Yeah.
And she was like, that's fine. Turns out my dad, I think there is some Norwegian blood in there.
Yeah.
And also Norwegians and Danes can basically speak to each other, right? Like Norwegian and Danish is
like
very similar language.
Norway, Sweden, Denmark, we can all understand each other.
But Sweden's crazy weird sound.
No, that's Finland. Yeah.
Finland.
Right. But for a Norwegian, at least this is from my perspective, understanding Danish speaking is harder than understanding Swedish. But it's easier to understand Danish writing than Swedish.
Okay.
It's weird.
That makes sense.
But it's all because we were connected, in the past.
It's a similar language,
but it's similar, but it is different. Like I'll go to like Denmark and I will be confused, and most of the time, we'll have to start speaking English. It's a thing.
Like I would read the comic books when I was in Denmark, and I could get some of the words because it's a Germanic language, and German is the root for English, maybe.
So like I looked into that. I can't really say what it is. I don't want to be on a podcast and
look, we're doing
blah, 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 blah.
All we're doing is misinformation.
But it is some Germanic history roots. Yes, exactly.
Totally.
Like same with the runes and like the old writing.
Yeah. So like for you, when Torger's movie comes out, are you like, oh, a Norwegian, I'm gonna watch this movie?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
I mean, definitely.
What a movie to return this year. Like I saw it in the theater. I'm so happy that I got to see that particular movie in a theater.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good.
It is funny. I got to be honest though, to the podcast, I didn't actually see the movie yet. So don't spoil anything.
Okay.
Don't spoil anything.
Okay. Yeah.
The favorite snowboard movie that I watched this year is Swamp Donkey.
Swamp Donkey, haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Is it good?
Yeah,
obviously if it's your favorite.
That's the one that's the favorite one that I have watched so far.
Yep, I got you.
And it's just because that's just the kind of snowboarding I want to do. And it's just like quality snow and
it's so unbelievable.
It's fun to watch
for me to be sitting here because for me, I'm a huge fan of snowboarding.
Yeah.
And when you were in my periphery, you were a little kid, and your little kid face is still there. But
it's got to be.
But now you're a man, and you're an icon of this thing, which is so sick. Like, dude, I really appreciate you doing the show. It's incredible.
Oh, man. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, man. And like to think back to, like, there had to be some sort of super meeting of supportive parents, the talent that you have meets like some sort of coach, mentor. It's probably Lars, right? Is that where it starts?
Yeah, I would, definitely Lars had a really big impact. He's, so Lars Ericksson was like one of the guys in Hemsedal. He built the park in Hemsedal. Yeah. He loved snowboarding.
He built a lot of those big jumps. And
he's the one who built all the like iconic like Hemsedal sessions.
Beautiful, perfectly manicured.
Yeah,
massive. Probably the biggest jumps that have ever been made.
Yeah, I have a story about him. I've told it a few times, but like quickly, I just love this story so much because it was the first time when I started snowboarding going through the snowboard park in Hemsedal, but skiers weren't allowed.
I love that.
But I didn't want to go through it myself because I was a baby. And so my dad came with me on skis.
Sick.
And then we went through the park, and at the very bottom of the park, there was a hip. And a bunch of snowboarders having a hip session, photographers, blah, blah, blah. And then my dad kind of like being like the local, Hemsedal guy, just goes in and hits the hip on his skis in front of all the snowboarders.
And he's not allowed in the park.
No, it's not allowed in the park in the first, so they were definitely already like eyeing him out, And then the photographer at the bottom of the hip, which is Lars, took a snowball and just threw it at my dad, and then him and my dad just started going at each other like, and Lars was a kickboxer too.
Like it was gonna get physical.
But obviously I was there, and my dad and Lars ended up becoming like really, really good friends, and Lars kind of like took me under the wing, and like when I instead of my dad coming in they were like, he can just come in here and ride him, like take care of these kids.
We'll keep an eye out for you.
And and he really did. It was me and two other. I got to get to know some other like young snowboarders. This girl Caroline and this guy Carl is also a good, like one of my best friends that I grew up with.
Sick.
And it was like us three, and we were really just like these little groms, that just loved snowboarding and just that's all we wanted to do was
did
snowboard.
They both have pro careers as well, or did they just stay?
Carl didn't get on when we got picked up by Burton. So when Burton came to Hemsedal for the first time to do those like photo shoots, Carl didn't get an opportunity to get sponsored, but Caroline and I did.
Yeah.
And Caroline unfortunately tore her ACL that season.
As a kid.
She was older than me. She was 3 years older than me. I was 11 and she was like 14.
So right on the cusp. Right,
and that's early to tear your ACL too. And then
so bad,
season after, she tore her other ACL, and then it kind of like
bad.
Wasn't good for
2 knees, and you're 15 years old.
So unfortunately, she wasn't able to stay on the team.
And then what happens with your other buddy? Does he?
Yeah, he's still one of my best friends. He's actually like he's a good snowboarder.
Of course.
He also a photographer.
Dope.
So we've done a bunch of stuff before too. Yeah,
I fucking love that. Yeah. I actually asked Terry that. Like, are there a whole bunch of guys at your home mountain that just quit because they weren't as good as you, but like if they would have come over here, they would have been like the best in the world, you know what I mean? And he was like, oh, give me a break.
Yeah. I think what you said earlier about the parents and that stuff, like I think, well, I know how lucky I was with parents who obviously they were skiers, but you know, they were like, when I wanted to try snowboarding, it was not like they were like, you got to ski.
Right.
You know,
right.
They gave me that opportunity and I loved it. And that was the first in, you know?
Yeah.
And then I think the most important thing that like, I just loved it so much, you know?
Have to, yeah.
And I mean, just being on the mountain and just, snowboarding so much, I just fell in love with it.
Were you in love with the competition side of it? Because you were a fierce competitor. I think you were so young when you were beating legends.
Yeah, so this is actually kind of interesting because I wasn't that competitive, but at the same time, I guess I was.
Yeah, you'd have to. Right,
you know?
Right.
But like, I definitely was competitive, but in my mind, I was kind of telling myself that I wasn't.
Okay.
Which I don't even know if that makes sense.
It kind of does, yeah.
But when we started doing competitions, it was kind of like a thing that everybody did.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
And I mean, my favorite riders were filming video parts. So that's, you know, every year when a new snowboard movie came out, I was just like glued, you know, and was just like, I want to ride powder. I want to do backside 720s like JP Solberg.
Like, so how young? Like, still as that young competitor guy?
Yeah. And then, well, my first competition, international competition, was in Livigno, Italy, in 2002.
Is that when, I'm just going out on a limb here?
Yeah.
I texted Dave Downing this morning. I'm like, you got some sort of like story I can pull out of him. He goes, ask him about his first time riding backcountry with me in Italy.
Yeah.
Is that when that happened?
Yeah, for sure.
I love it. That's awesome.
It was me, Fredrik Ausbø, another Norwegian snowboarder
Smalls team. Was he?
Yeah, he was on the Smalls team.
Yeah.
It was Olivia Gittler. It was Tommy Emanuelson, Luke Mitrani.
Oh, wow.
And that was like us.
What a crew.
Yeah, and it was. I can't even tell you how cool it was to be on the Smalls crew. Like, just we got put in a place together and just kind of. I mean, we had a guardian with us, you know, like a Burton team manager.
Sure.
But can you imagine like being 5 kids just like running around Italy and, you know, and snowboarding?
No,
and
I can't.
We were having so much fun.
Yeah. Of course.
But we went to the backcountry. Jan Prokis, he's currently working at Volcom. So he used to take care of us. And Dave Downing was there, and we went. It was perfect powder in Livigno, and we went off some runs, and Yeah.
Downing's
Insane.
Yeah.
I think we were even like, I think we were so young too that like the powder wasn't really like it was awesome, but I don't think we understood how good it really was.
Right.
Yeah. Because I kind of feel like when you get older, you get more sucked into the powder, and and when you're 12 years old, you don't really understand. I mean, you're having fun and it's deep snow, but
I think I was talking with Fridge at the Holy Bowly.
Yeah,
and he's a young kid, and I'm like, oh, dude, it's pretty icy. He's like, this is my favorite because it's consistent.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, you look nice.
Well, he grew up in Norway.
Right. Yeah. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Fridge is also Norwegian.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, god damn. You guys have a huge contribution to snowboarding.
It's a lot of good riders coming out of Norway. Same as like Finland. I feel
Finland
like
was legendary, yeah.
We do have like, it's so icy, at least in Hemsedal, where I actually live there now too.
Sick.
But in the early season, we don't get any sun. So the whole
thing is in the shadow.
It's in the shade.
Yeah, yeah.
So even if it's sunny, it's flat light.
Gotcha.
And then it's almost like sometimes it's better when it's like cloudy and snowy.
I totally understand. Yeah.
So when and cold, so it's like icy.
Yeah.
And then when you learn how to ride on icy flat light conditions, that's what then you can pretty much ride anything.
Yeah, and you're never lazy, right? Like, you're never lazy.
Yeah, and you're like,
you can be pretty lazy on slushy snow. Up here, you can just kind of slop about. Like, Vancouver's local mountains get like wet cement all the time, a big dump, and then you ride it. Then the next day, another one, you're riding it. Like,
that's the best stuff.
and then if that turns freezing cold and it's like stuck in place, you can't even ride. So you just don't.
Yeah.
But if that's what you're forced to ride, so like if you go every day and it's kind of icy, well, then when the snow comes back, you're like, oh.
Yeah, you really, really appreciate
we're going way
good conditions.
Faster. Yeah.
I do remember that, like, in the beginning, traveling to the States, and then like whenever there was a competition and the weather was shitty, we did really well.
Oh, of course.
Right. Because that's the conditions we rode
Look
in.
at the 2010 Olympics for Vancouver, like JCJ Anderson and like Mael Rickert, like Canadians won in those. Yeah. It was like such shit conditions.
Yeah, because they're used to it.
Totally dialed in. Hey, by the way, that orange bag that's right beside you, that's for you. That's a Kaznahui tote bag. And then inside, there's some toothpaste from... my buddy Mark McKenzie does Essential Toothpaste tabs. It's pretty sick toothpaste. It's not bad for your mouth.
Definitely going to give that a go.
If you want some water, that's why I'm telling you. That's Chris Roach's Flojoy water.
Wow.
Which he and his family have started.
Perfect. Just getting a little thirsty.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. He's
hydrate.
He's canning that water at Donner Summit. So it's it's Artesian mountain water. So it's come all the way from California, which is sort of crazy here in Squamish, where it's, some of the best water in the world. But it's good stuff.
It's really good.
Yeah, and he's the best.
You can know if it's good water or not. This is good.
Totally. No offense, Calgary, but like when you land in the airport in Calgary and you taste the water, you're like, wow, you guys drink this?
Yeah.
No wonder everybody's on bottled water.
Yeah, we get pretty spoiled back home too. With the water
So Hemsedal's in the Alps, is that the...
Hemsedal?
Hemsedal?
So Hemsedal is Hemsedal is 3 hours in north of Oslo.
Okay.
So it's like interior.
Yep.
And that's why we do get kind of cold and icy conditions.
It doesn't have like a big lake or a body of water around it. It has
lakes and stuff, but not big enough for it to really give us
heavy powder cycles and like snow sticking to the rocks and all that. It's more like the Rockies here kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the mountains where you do get like coastal snow. It's like obviously on the west coast. I mean, we're the northwest of that side of the world.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So there's this mountain called Strana.
Yeah,
I actually just saw the other day they've been getting a lot of snow. So like we do get that in Norway, but Strana is also like kind of out there.
Yeah.
So not as many people go there.
Yeah, I wanted to go see Johan and Ingmar up in northern Sweden.
Yeah.
And then people were saying it's so far.
It is.
It's insanely far.
And also it's so far north that like early, like probably right now, there isn't much light.
Yeah, it stays dark for like a long time.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's like the midnight sun in the summer and complete darkness in
That's
the
wild.
winter. Yeah.
Yeah, we really, I can't speak for all of Canada and the United States, but me as just like an average Joe snowboarder guy, I know nothing about Europe.
Oh,
if we're going to travel, I'd probably go Japan. Like first and foremost, I could drive to Tahoe, you know?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So like we've got everything from even Southern California all the way up to Alaska is right here. So
you guys are definitely like, man, you guys are in the right spot for snowboarding for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we do. I mean, I haven't had the chance to, which kind of seems crazy, but like my whole career, I've been over here. Like I've been in the north.
Right.
North,
so you didn't do like
North
European
America
tours.
No,
and
I never. I mean, I did competing, but when we did that, it was slope style.
Yep.
You know, so, and I mean, I've been to Europe plenty of times. I'm not saying I haven't been there, but every year I've always like wanted to come to North America. That's like always been my like dream to come here and ride here because I appreciate the mountains there. Also, I work for the companies that are over here, so so it's like a little easier, and also it would be harder for people to come over to Norway and ride there. We're not allowed to snowmobile, for example.
That's a big one, isn't it?
You can't do that.
That's insane.
So then it's more hiking.
Yep.
Actually, someone who's been riding Norway a bit lately is the Auntie Outie. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it yet, but
you should check it out. It's really cool, and it just like, I mean, I know the mountains are out there, but you got to be willing to hike it.
Yeah,
you know. So then it's more like European style, you know, where
Yeah, it blew my mind to find that out a couple of years back. That
snowshoe or split board.
Or splits, right.
Yeah. So
that's why, you know, in the 90s, 2000s, when they would, you know, once the filming crews had to leave the resorts, which is early, 92, 93, that's it. Then Europe kind of just falls off because you're not going to go over there and hike around with all your gear. And the cameras are heavy and all that stuff. Like, you've got no access.
Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff in Europe is so, it's like the mountains in the Alps, man. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Like the mountains you get there. And like going to a resort, taking the tram to the top, and then just hiking out. Is makes it really easy, really, you know, to access big terrain on your feet
stuff,
and also with the help of the tram or T-bars or whatever, you know, can get you far enough out there where you can get to places where people haven't been.
Right.
I do one thing that it's a little bit more, I feel like if you're on snowmobiles, it's a little bit easier to stay safe in terms of like avalanches, like
because of the gear that you're able to bring with you and the amount of everybody's got their own
and also like
kind of thing.
we're kind of like you can get to a place really fast if something happens.
Right.
You also got to be careful if you're searching on a snowmobile. By the way, it might interfere with the picking up signals. So that's actually a good thing for people to remember.
That's really important.
So then you always just snowmobile to the debris, turn off your snowmobile, and then start your search.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good to know.
But in Europe, with the big mountains, and if something happens, then if something goes, then it might be really big, and it might go down to the valley, you know?
Yeah. And then
So I feel like if you're in Europe, I mean, like everywhere, you gotta be careful no matter where you are. But
there's a lot of loss in snowboarding, right? Like, so you've already mentioned Lars kind of took you under his wing, and he passed away when you were quite young, right?
Yeah. Not super young. It was when I was, I think I just turned 20.
Okay.
So 14 years ago, almost 15 years ago. Yeah, and he got caught in an avalanche in Hemsedal, on Christmas Eve.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was pretty. That was the first time I lost someone that I like a good friend.
Very close.
Yeah.
Right.
But
there's already, I mean, you were at Burton when Craig passed, right? You were already on the team.
Actually, we talked about Dave Downing. I was with Dave Downing in Italy, in Livigno, same place as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
The year after, in 2003. That's
when he passed.
Yeah.
January 2003.
And it was me, Frederick Ausbo, and Dave Downing, and we came to a street spot to hit a rail, actually.
Oh my God.
Isn't that pretty crazy?
That is nuts.
I remember Dave Downing did it was so easy for him, you know, and we were just we didn't really know what to do. But he did it. I remember he did a nose press. It was like a closeout rail next to a European house. And then he got the call.
Sick.
He got the call that Craig passed, and
oh, wow.
I mean I was so young. I obviously knew of him, but I don't think I really understood who it really was. You know, right there and then.
Of course.
But it was pretty. I mean, just watch Dave Downing. You know, he was so broken when he had that call and
devastated.
Yeah.
Of course. They were close friends. He took Craig out splitboarding for the first time. It was, I mean, I can't imagine how devastated Dave would have been.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
So that's, how old are you at that point?
I was 13.
Yeah, so all the way through your whole career, because when does Jeffy pass? Jeffy passed in...
That was right before Unink. That was during the Unink, when Unink started. I don't remember the year.
Yeah.
Now.
Right.
But, yeah. I met Jeff Anderson. Such a nice guy.
Of course.
Yeah, he came to... There's a lot of talk about Hemsedal here. But I remember he was there, and like I said earlier, we were so young. You know,
kids.
We were kids,
right?
But you can always, I mean, as a kid, you know who's nice and who's not, and Jeff was one of those. He was he was really nice to us. He talked to us, and you know, even when we met him, we were just like, oh my God, it's Jeffy.
Yeah. Like a Mikey Rentz, just a sweet person.
Yeah, exactly.
Kids are a really good judge of that, because, you know, if you're a dickhead teenager or a guy in his 20s, you're definitely going to rag on the kids.
Yeah, I remember Jeff Anderson was hitting this. Also, it was also a closeout rail. It was like a balcony.
Yeah.
And it was pretty big. It was I don't know, maybe 4-meter drop after the rail or whatever. And, you know, we were allowed to come there and watch. That was big.
That's big now.
Yeah.
It takes a second for me to convert it into feet.
Yeah,
and I'm like, shit, that's a 12-foot drop, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's
12,
crazy.
Yeah, about 12 feet. And he was just we were there watching, and, you know, he was nice to us.
Fanning out even?
For sure.
I love
we were like sitting there just like watching every move they did, you know?
Yeah, of course.
We were so lucky, like being that young and being able to like hang around all these like pros.
Yeah.
Like it was surreal.
Yeah.
You know, like first time I met Shaun White too. Yeah, and he was already a star. I mean, I had his friggin' pro model.
Of course you did, because you're the target market for his stuff. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you guys get to ride? Like, you get to ride with Shaun?
Yeah, we rode with him, yeah. But it's crazy, like, even a 4-year or 3-year difference when you're like 17 or close to 18, that's a lot older than someone who's 14.
Totally.
You know, it's like a way different.
Yeah.
But Shaun was nice to us, you know, and I remember playing video games with him. He was super competitive, even with the video games.
I love it.
He beat me every game. But it's not like we played that much, but I remember playing one day with him, and he definitely won.
Relentless, like a relentless competitor.
He's just good at everything he was doing, you know.
Right.
But definitely competitive.
So
nice guy.
Being on the Burton team, I've like, so for an outsider, it looks like you guys get to hang out all the time and like everybody's together all the time. But obviously there's factions of people that you like, groups of people that you wind up like traveling with, shooting with, that kind of thing. But do you have access? Like if you were to call your team manager and go like, man, I'm having a hard time with this one trick, but Shaun does it perfect. Can I get his number and just give him a shout? Like, is it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think we would get in that situation, but like everybody on the team knows each other.
Everybody,
you know,
knows.
Yeah. So, like, if I wanted somebody's number that I didn't know, I could definitely get it by calling my team manager.
You just go,
and then just be like, hey, how do you do that back nine, man?
Yeah.
Or how do you do that quad flip?
Sure. Do any kids now on the?
It's not a 900 anymore. It's like 9 flips.
Right. Does anyone on the team call you like, hey, man, how do I get to BC and ride some of that sick shit?
No,
because some of the kids are coming out.
We like Mikey Renz also is kind of doing that right now, and me too. If there are younger riders who want to go into the backcountry, and you know, we have so many years of experience now that like that's a part of the game. It's like when you're younger and don't have as much experience in the backcountry, like you get grouped up with us. And then we kind of show you the way.
Right.
And then that's how you learn. And that's how it was for me as well.
Of course.
You know?
Who were your guys that took you under their wing? And when do you do that?
It wasn't really like I was taken under the wing, but it was more like being there and observing and like learning how stuff works, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you want to specifically talk about like BC, for example, I want to kind of get into that because that's was my dream and that's what I've been doing. And it really is, as a foreigner or like, you know, getting into Canada, there's many steps to being able to be here and do it. And especially if you don't want to like, if you don't have like it, I mean, it's expensive.
Hell yeah.
You know? So the process through Burton, I have my visa, and by all that, get a car, you know, and then get a snowmobile. You got to be independent. You gotta be able to operate and figure things out on your own. And once you're independent and you have those things, then that opens a lot of doors, you know.
Yeah.
Because every time you come or if you want to film in the backcountry and you got to rely on other people, it's not only exhausting for the people helping, but it is exhausting for you as well.
Of course.
Because I did that in the beginning too, you know, and that's definitely what you have to do. I mean, you don't have to, but like renting a sled, you know, getting out there, see if you even like it.
Right.
You know, is this something for you?
I was shocked when Sean Miskimen and Mikey Cicerelli told me that they did a whole year out there on their own before they even plugged into the to the team. They're like, no, I didn't want to go out there and be one of those guys that just can't do it.
Actually, the first sled I rented was Devin Walsh's. One of it. I don't remember what year that sled was, but I rented that, and that was we filmed for In Color, and that was in 2009.
Yep.
And that was the first year I filmed in BC.
Sick.
And for us, I rented a sled. I was on a trailer. I was with Joe Carlino. And we kind of got helped, with trailer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have my own truck. I didn't.
Yeah, because you're already a superstar Burton rider kid. So people are like, let's get this guy out here. Let's see what he could do out here. That'd
exactly.
be exciting.
And that's kind of how it works. Like, I always I guess this is something we can talk about too, but when I did my competitive side of snowboarding, I didn't just do competitive snowboarding. My whole career when I was competing, I was doing both the entire time.
Oh, that's so sick.
So I was never like 100% contest kid.
Because you wanted to be the backcountry or the filmer kid, right?
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
But I was doing the competitions because, and I don't regret it at all. It helped my snowboarding so much. I mean, look at it just makes sense.
You were good at
you're
it too.
You're snowboarding so much. You're learning all the tricks that you need to know, and you're basically just getting better and better, and you got to always evolve and
right.
But my point is, I would go to a contest, and then when I wasn't doing a contest, I would go on a film trip with Burton, if it was in Europe or if it was in Japan, or and Burton has been such a good support. They've always had stuff for me to do. So whenever I wasn't in a competition, Burton was like, hey, we're going to get you on a trip here.
Sick.
So very lucky where I had someone supporting me that was like, hey, you're going to go here because you're going to go on this trip and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, okay, sick. All right, I'll go here. And it was like, okay, come on this trip. And then, so by saying that, Burton is definitely one of those sponsors who really, really takes good care of their riders, and they invest in.
And they've had such a variety of snowboarders, types of different snowboarders, right? Like when you mentioned Shaun White, he's not choosing also to film video parts, right? They might be saying hey, buddy, probably be a good idea to put out a video part you rip. White Balance was sick. I was I was ready to watch a new White Balance every year, right?
Yeah.
Let's see this guy. I don't watch competitive snowboarding.
Yeah.
I watched natural selection.
Yeah.
I don't watch the Olympics. I'll watch the finals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now when I go back and watch, I'm like, damn, man, I thought Kazu should have won in 2010 when I watch it kind of it was streaming live or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wish Kazu would have won. But now when I go back, I'm like, okay, there's there's tricks you have to do. And there's Shaun was just so insanely competitive.
Yeah.
But all these guys, my brain goes a million miles a minute because you're friends with Kazu, right?
Yeah.
And you've ridden with him, you've filmed with him.
Actually, I think the first time I met Kazu is also, if I'm not wrong, I think he's 3 years older than me, or if he's 2 years older than me.
So did you compete?
I think I'm turning 30. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's close.
Yeah.
He's a little bit older, but he's in your generation of pro guys.
Yeah, but I met him. This is actually pretty cool. The first time I met him was also in Hemsedal again. That's awesome. But a lot of stuff happened during those times. But Kazu didn't speak that much English, and neither did I.
Yeah, perfect.
So we had this but we understood each other so well just through like loving snowboarding, and like, you know, we just had a connection, you know, through snowboarding.
Sick.
And then we would do like kind of like sign language, like hungry, you know, one word, or like sleepy, or so that's pretty funny. And then
he seems like just the coolest dude to snowboard with.
He's the chillest,
shit.
and what a good snowboarder, dude. He is. It's incredible. Yeah, super good snowboarder. I haven't seen him in a long time. I really miss him.
Yeah, so you're in this echelon where you're gonna get to ride with Kazu. You're gonna get to ride with Nico. You're gonna get to ride with Terje. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what is that like to have? Like, wherever you go in the world, you get to link up with like these insanely and be one of them. That's the craziest part. Is it like, I mean, okay,
it was insane. I mean,
so
it was
of those guys, who have you been close with each one of them? Like, have you had a era where you're riding with Nico when Nico's on Burton, and you're just like, I want to go film with that motherfucker? Yeah,
for sure. Nico is my favorite rider. He's always been my favorite rider.
Sick.
And I remember like first time like going on a trip with him, you know, kind of like, you know, like, oh, dude, it's freaking Nico, you know. But at the same time, like at the same time not being like starstruck or anything, but like just because he's such a humble, nice person, and I've actually, like, just being out there with him taught me so much on just how to look at terrain when you get to a place. Like, I've been like that stuff. Even like getting on a trip with Terje, you know, and like we've been so lucky to be on the Burton team and having the opportunity to ride with all the amazing team riders. I mean, there's some riders that make sense that are together a little bit more than others.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
And for the past like 10 years, it kind of has been a little bit more like Mikey Renz. You know, Mikey Renz, Mark Sollers, now Ben Ferguson, Mark McMorris, now Mikey Cicerelli, you know, Brock Crouch, Danny Davis.
Red's even coming up now.
Yeah.
Riding backcountry a bunch.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sick. Red's the guy that I think.
Gerard?
Yeah.
Do you know he's not on Burton anymore?
Oh, yeah. Now he's on, he's on Arbor.
Yeah.
What a crazy move.
Yeah.
But great. Good for him.
Great for him that he, you know, is doing his thing.
He reminds
me. We're definitely going to miss him. Because I have had a bunch of friends on Burton that leaves,
of course,
you know, and does other things, and
they can't all stay for like Mikey Red's career's been like
almost 30 years.
30 years.
Yeah,
they just can't possibly stack every single person they get on the team and keep everyone forever.
Yeah,
it's not possible.
Last year, it was my 20th year with Burton.
Oh, congrats, dude.
Yeah,
that's really sick.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's really, really dope.
Yeah.
So yeah, Red was the one that when you're talking about being a contest kid that doesn't really identify as a contest kid, when I had him on mic, I was like, you won the Olympics. That's fucking amazing. You must be like this crazy competitive contest kid. And I think he said something along the lines of like, well, I was asking my parents if I could not compete that year, you know, but they were like, it's an Olympic year. Do one more time. Like, it's not like he was like, I really wanted to go to the Olympics. He's like, oh, it was just another contest.
Yeah.
And glad I won, of course, but like, he's like, that wasn't my goal in my snowboarding.
Dude, you know, that's pretty cool that you mentioned that, because I think that's where I was going earlier when I was saying that I was competitive, but at the same time I kind of wasn't, because I had a vision that I wanted to do something else.
Yeah.
And then also I had this rule with myself that every contest I would do a different run.
Oh wow!
Like
dude.
Nobody noticed that.
That's insane.
But I would go to a contest and I would change up my runs. Every single contest I went to, I would do a new run that I hadn't done. But I didn't get remembered from that because, and all the riders who like did the best, they did the same exact run every single contest, you know?
Yes.
And I thought maybe that would benefit me, but it it didn't.
Well, it will natural selection. That's
natural selection.
That's where it actually will. But I'm glad you said that on mic because I've heard like Todd Richards, who has done announcing for big level contests, and say like, you know, it's not that exciting to go to the next Dew Tour stop. Because I know what everyone's gonna do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a matter of like what they're gonna do.
It's like are they gonna land?
Who's gonna land?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
Whereas
totally.
you bring a level of like what snowboarding really is, which is fun, and it's like it's not supposed to be. I mean, there's room for both.
Totally.
There's room for both.
And I think that's exactly it, because when I would go to a contest, I wasn't really so worried about like what my result was going to be. I was more worried about like doing something, a different run, you know, and trying to stand out and like do it a little bit different maybe.
Yeah, that's the Jimmy Scott versus Sean Palmer thing.
Yeah,
Jimmy Scott could win contests, barely going above the lip, but he'd like just get his run dialed in and he'd do the same thing every time.
Yeah,
Palmer would just go, he'd be drunk or sometimes, you know, he'd be like, and then if he just was on, he would win because he's fucking phenomenal. So you're carrying on a long tradition. I'm really glad you got to say that on the show, because I didn't watch enough contests to be able to figure that out. Yeah. But it would have been cool to hear, you know, like an announcer say, this kid never does the same run twice.
I'm sure somebody has said something, because I really did do it different every, you know.
That's rad. Were you coached? Did you have a coach?
Like, no, I never had a coach.
You were your own. You got to pick your run.
And that's probably why I also did that stuff. Right. I guess if I had a coach, they would tell me to do otherwise. There was actually one time when I learned when I learned how to do a switch backside 12.
Wow.
And I went to Toyota Big Air in Japan, and I was in the final, and I decided to do a front 3 nose grab instead because I thought it was cooler.
Dope.
But I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
But did it work? Did I win the contest? No.
To win, it doesn't work. That's what I was saying about the Kazu thing. Yeah. Was that I'm like, I wish that the judging of the Olympics accounted for like, just like, okay, this guy's got way too much style. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like he won because snowboarding's fucking stylish, not because, but like the amplitude and the, you know, like how it is for a regular person who doesn't snowboard to see a backflip. They're like, whoa, upside down, that's crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
For us to see a straight backflip, we're going like, dude, seriously.
Yeah. I mean, I wish at Toyota Bigger, I wish I would have done the switchback 12 and then done a front 3 after. Right. Or something, you know? Like, maybe some of those decisions were a little bit foolish, you know, in a sense where I could have won the contest, you know? But you didn't have a coach to get mad at you. Your dad's not sitting on the sidelines. No, and actually, you know, another cool thing is that whenever I did these things, like Burton always supported my decisions. Like I was never, they were never they were never mad at me for any of the decisions I made throughout my whole competitive career.
Yeah. So Jason Ford was on the super team, you know, like Brushy, Craig, Duck Boy, Ford. And he was saying like, you know, back in the old days when Burton was like so small, like the team manager would say to Brushy, like, dude, 4th place, you know, chop, like you might get cut from the team, guy. Like you're going to want to try and get on that podium kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is like so far from where they are. Like that was just the beginning, right? And there was so much like pressure to, like Sims and Burton were just battling it out for who would become, you know, the biggest in snowboarding.
For sure. I also got to mention that, like, I feel like my, like, time in competitive snowboarding was, like, you can't do what I did now. kind of thing.
Right.
You know?
Sure.
But during my competitive time, like doing that, it kind of worked. It's almost the same as when like Danny Davis went in X Games and did switch method, and got
exactly.
like all this hype from, because it was at the time where, I mean, snowboarding is just like going to a level where it's like, are we forgetting what snowboarding?
The competitions
are we forgetting about the whole style thing now, or are we just going to do like flaily like spins and like super spins like a video game?
Yeah.
And then, you know, Danny Davis comes in and does like a huge switch method into something, and everyone is like, woo, you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, this is what snowboarding really is.
Right.
And I think like I think that I was kind of trying to do that as well.
I understand totally.
Because that's the snowboarding that I grew up watching, and that's the snowboarding that I thought was cool.
You got to the double cork, triple cork era, and by then were you like, because you, like you said,
I
switched 12.
I dipped out of competitive snowboarding when they were transitioning into the triple cork era.
Triple cork. So
I was in the double cork.
Yeah,
I was in the double cork era.
And did you cork? Like
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So you had double corks on lock. That's it. You have to use it. To win.
Yeah, I had double corks. Yeah, I haven't done one in a long time. Maybe we'll bring it out again. But
well, kicking a double cork in the natural selection tour, well, they wouldn't even call it that though, right?
I mean, but then you would have to have like a jump,
right?
You know,
right?
Because
maybe
I think that's
in the duels,
that's what's cool about natural selection, is that it kind of brings down the, like, it's you can't really do it. I mean, you totally can, but it might be a little bit ridiculous if you're doing a double cork down a a pillow line. You know, that might be a little intense. And I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's wild. Like, okay,
so that kind of separates it a little bit, because then it's more about, you know, how you can handle yourself down a line, or it's like finding like a hit that makes sense. And
it's such a fine line, because it's like, you know, watching some of the competitions some of the time, it's just doesn't have that grab of like for the regular public. No, I'll say it for myself too. It's like, it's a long contest you're watching.
Yeah.
And sometimes your favorite guy comes up and you're like, all right, this is going to be great. He's going to like blow the fucking competition out and then you're like, backflip? Like, what? 540? Like, what? 360, 360, 360? What the fuck is going on here? But you totally know what's going on. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of the factors are like, you see what happens when they do the built environment stuff for the duels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gets a little more exciting. I like that. That was fun. But the purity of the actual like non-built environment is really what's going to keep the competition exciting and from getting dominated by someone that's like, oh, double cork, double cork, double cork.
Yeah, it's like, I don't have anything against where competitive snowboarding has gone. I think it's so impressive what they do nowadays, like in slopestyle halfpipe.
Right.
It's crazy. It's like mind bending.
Totally.
I do think that natural selection has been good, where it kind of shows like two sides of snowboarding in a sense.
It does.
Where it's like, it's not so much about the tricks. It's more about how you can handle yourself down the mountain with a good flow. And style kind of comes more into picture again, you know, where it's more about like, are you in control? Can you do a grab down something and it looks good, you know?
Yeah. Line
are you
selection,
white rooming yourself down the whole thing, or are you getting caught in your slough? You know, like that's cool that we have that as well.
I love it. And like I said, I watch it. I'll watch it live when it's happening.
Yeah.
I'll watch every component of it. I'm like, it's exciting. But then the thing about the person that's watching, just like somebody watching basketball or fucking ref or whatever, is like, the reason we're watching is that we can bitch and moan about it sometimes.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah, for sure.
So there is and I'm old now. Like, if I could speak for myself and magically have the contest I want to watch, it's probably going to be natural selection, but like with Sean Palmer versus Damian Sanders versus, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
sick.
Farmer comes out and is dropping some insane cliff and then rapping at the end or whatever. Like, I'm into that, but it doesn't
I would
exist.
like to see that too.
Yeah, Travis, when you got Travis and he's thinking like, what's the next thing? Tell him, look, hey, let's bring back some legends and let them do straight air, have a big cliff contest or something. Yeah.
Pretty sick. Bjorn Lines is coming back. I think that's awesome.
I mean, who were your guys? Like, I just said mine, right? It's like Palmer and Farmer and Craig and all those.
Well,
like, was it like Shaun White and that era of?
No, my like first like person that I really looked up to was JP Solberg.
Sick.
The style.
Like, yeah.
I just love the like compact, like holding the grab throughout the whole spin, no flailing, and like that kind of vibe. And then
totally.
And then as I got older, I definitely started leaning more towards Nicholas, you know. Yep. And that's just because, man, that guy just knows how to ride a snowboard. It's incredible how he he reads terrain and how light he is, and like it's I mean, he's a light guy. I'm pretty heavy. I'm like almost like 200 pounds, like 90 kilos.
Yeah,
you know, and like so I'm inspired by him, you know. But then like I'm like this heavy snowboarder trying to be light on my feet, you know.
I remember thinking about that because you were a small kid.
You can still be light on your feet even if you're 90 kilos.
Yeah,
you know.
Dude, you made it look insane at natural selection with just like the flow and the trick selection. And then you were on a big ass board too, right? You were on
I'm on a 170. That's all I ride.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the 170 custom 170 wide. That's the biggest board in the Burton line.
Yeah.
But dude, speaking of that board though, if any other listeners wants to do a board that's like good all around, that's the custom. And they have a wide they have all the sizes. Yeah. The custom is just good for everything. Maybe not so much for like handrails and stuff. I mean, you can still do it, but you could probably have another board for that. But for like just riding POW, and riding the resort, just cruising around, man, that board is insane.
The last board I demoed was the last Burton board I demoed was the first or maybe second generation custom with rocker. Yeah. And then I tried it with camber and I was like, I'm old. I'm just an old man. I like the camber stuff, but really
I'm camber
board.
Too. I can't do anything else.
I'm not against it. Like, obviously Travis Rice can ride the mustache thing and make it work. Like, it's fun. Like,
Travis is very like experiment. Like, he likes to experiment.
Hell
like, yeah, dude, he gets super techie. I mean, also he's super involved with LibTech and stuff. But he's talked to us a bunch about like the boards that he rides, and like how he just like will just get a saw and just saw the tail off, you know, to just like see if it seriously. He does that.
That's insane. And awesome.
Yeah. So, but. He'll show up to a contest and he has 3 different boards for specific things he wants to ride, versus myself, I like to have one board that I know.
Wow.
So
Ben Bullock has did a post about this or talked about this in one of the group chats I was in or something. Like, that's a pretty bold thing to say like one board for everything, because there's so many different things.
Yeah.
And like a paddle board with the swallowtail for me, like for turning,
Yeah.
there's nothing better to not have to lean way back and all that. But that board's not going to work for, freestyle in the park. It just feels like a big long shitty nose or whatever. But you've been able to have a board that you can ride in a contest situation that you can also ride in a straight up backcountry sledding situation.
Oh yeah.
Fuck, cool.
Yeah, and even like steep like pillow stuff. Like I still ride the 170. Even though it's like might be better to have like a short tail where you can kind of like
totally
like push down, but you can do that with the 170 too. It's just a little bit harder, but I rather have one board that I know I'm confident on.
Right.
That I know what I'm on. It's not like, oh, it's good for this, but then you get in a situation where that board is not good.
Right.
So then I choose to stay on one board all year.
That's badass, man. Like is that weird for like in your group of friends?
Not really. I know some people like the only reason why I don't ride the family tree line in Burton is because they don't have bigger boards.
The biggest boards.
I love
the
170, and for me it comes up to my chin.
Sure.
So it's like it's not that big for me.
Right.
So it's like whenever the board comes down onto my chest, I'm like I don't get the full support.
It feels too small or
it does.
or
it does
underneath.
And also what I like about the 170, or at least that size of snowboard, is that whenever I get in a situation, if I like start building speed, or if it's something where if there's a big drop or something, that board is going to make sure that I stay on my feet.
Yeah, that's sick, dude.
It's not going to wash out or anything like that. Or it's just going to crush whatever comes in its way.
I love it. I love that. Yeah, I mean, that's those guys that I mentioned earlier, like Farmer and those dudes. Like there was an era of boards where everybody was on like a 169, 175, like. And like, if you go back,
dude,
and watch
Craig Kelly was 171, and he was not as tall as me.
No,
but I mean, he did have a narrower board, but but he still rode a big board.
Well, even everything at that time was bigger. Yeah, like I mean, the guys at Rad Air were making these. They still make them. The tankers, like 200 centimeter boards.
I think that's so cool.
And Lib was doing it too.
Have
with
you
the
seen the
Doughboys.
board that Zeb Powell?
It's insane.
Right? I saw his board the other day. I was on the hill with him.
Yeah,
and I gotta get one of those.
yeah, that's what I was.
I want one of those too.
Yeah. What even? How? Like, did you ask him how he got addicted to that one shape and that one?
I didn't ask him. I should have asked him, but it looks like the board is just. It's basically just like a normal smaller board with extended,
really long nose and tail. Yeah. Because the stuff he doesn't require that.
Because if you had a camber that went all the way to the edges, I don't really think it wouldn't have worked. But so it's basically just like added on nose and tail.
And he's just so used
I mean, the
to
swallowtail is like, I don't know, it's huge,
it's
right? So it doesn't really matter that it's kind of there.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a heavier board. But dude, I went through the, like, off of Whistler, off the peak chair, and like into the trees.
Yep.
And he was going through the trees with that board.
I love
no
it.
problem.
That's amazing.
And that's a huge board. So it kind of shows like.
Do you think that he is hindering himself by riding a bigger board and he would be a different, like an even better rider on a shorter board? Or do you think?
I know that he rides other boards too. Okay. He doesn't only ride that one.
I only see him on those.
But I mean, I think, maybe.
He's good though,
he's
right?
Good.
Like,
he's super
insanely good.
I think he should. I mean, if he's gonna like commit to like backcountry and stuff, I think that he should ride a board like a normal board.
I think when he's in the backcountry, he should ride like a little 145.
I don't think he should ride that board all the time, But I mean,
like
if he
Fridge,
has
right?
if he has his mind into it, he can do anything, you know. So.
Yeah, like Fridge with his backpack. Like it's so long.
I almost
that he's
feel
had the
like
backpack.
feel like Zeb and Fridge is kind of in the same boat because they kind of look at it like it's kind of like a character.
It's a character, right?
It's a character,
like
thing.
a video game character. Like totally.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah,
yeah. So they're kind of similar.
I had the conversation with Fridge on the chairlift. I'm like, "What's in the backpack?" And then he showed me. No, he didn't show me.
What was it?
He didn't show me. He said it's a thing. I don't show. He gave me hints. He gave me hints.
Oh,
and he kind of told me what it was, but he goes like, "Dude, if people know, then it's not. Then it's ruined."
Oh, that's
right?
hilarious. It's probably just some like pillows or something in case he falls.
Airbags, right? I like it because
it's funny too because it's not even like the backpack is not even like. It's not a performance backpack. It's like a school, school backpack or something. It's not even like waterproof or anything.
It's a school bag. Yeah, it's so rad.
He should make his own backpack company. Seriously.
Yeah, how come he's not selling them?
He should do that.
Yeah, when he was up here with the Now guys, they filmed some banger clip of him, and he didn't have his backpack on, and he didn't get the clip with the backpack. He's like, you can't use the one without the backpack.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Yeah, man.
That's hilarious.
Somebody
give the guy a backpack.
He's unbelievably talented.
Oh, dude, he really is.
In a way that is freakishly, there's certain people that
he's dude, it's funny that we mentioned Zeb and him at the same time because they are very similar in many ways. They kind of just like do their own thing and doesn't kind of just like there's no rules kind of thing, and that is so cool because that's what snowboarding should be. It shouldn't be all about like rules, you know. It's
100%.
Like that's why we love this because you can do whatever the F you want.
Yeah, that's where it started. It's like
so it's sick. It's
because you were
really
a skier kid, right? Like so, like when you were skiing, were you like in not lessons, but like racing and like
no?
I
was so young, you know.
Yeah, you were just a little kid.
I was just a little kid, and my parents were they just got me on the skis to, you know.
I'd like to talk about the relationship with the parents and Norway in particular with competitions. And then you chose not to go to the Olympics, even though there was slopestyle, right?
Yeah.
Which would have been your event.
Yeah. Actually, I never wanted to do the Olympics because I wanted to support snowboard organized events.
That
has to do
like
with
Terrier kind of stuff?
Terrier definitely had an influence on me on that. But at the same time, there was a lot of people that wanted me to do the Olympics.
Of course.
But when the first slopestyle Olympics came in, that was the time of my competitive career where I didn't have fun with it anymore.
Got it.
And I just I broke my humerus, and then I went to go do a competition to qualify in New Zealand, and then I broke my arm, same arm, just lower, my ulna, is that what it's called? Yeah, ulna. And then when I was in the hospital, I was like just laying there, and I was just like, why am I doing this kind of thing? And then also, a lot of the friends I used to compete with weren't around anymore, so I kind of was alone.
Oh,
and that was during the era where coaches and teams were more starting to become a thing.
Totally.
Because
I never would have thought of that. Yeah, like it's social. You're going to these contests, seeing the same guys.
It's super social.
I mean,
and then like if you're competing, and like what it used to be for us competing is that we would go to events like with like Friends Crew, for example, and like we would go to contests together, stay together, and kind of be like a group of friends. And then when that wasn't around anymore, and all this like seriousness came in play.
You're the kid who doesn't do the same run twice, and you're up against everybody is like got a coach that's telling
them
you got to do exactly this.
Airbag, dude. That's when the era came with airbags. I hated airbags.
I get it.
I thought it was so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I thought that everybody should learn how to snowboard. Like it should be kind of badass. Like you should like go out there and try it, you know? You got to earn it. You can't just go on a friggin' airbag and practice.
But did you have to use the airbag?
I hated it.
But did you have to use them to get double corks and stuff like that?
No, I learned my front double on icy jump in Colorado.
Oh my God. Right. So then you're seeing these kids who are coached airbags and you're going, all right, I'm tapping out on
you know
this.
What's funny too? You know what's funny too is that I was doing all these things, like doing different runs and like learning my tricks without an airbag and like doing all these things, like kind of like standing my ground that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But nobody knew about it.
Right.
Or like nobody, so like it was kind of stupid in a sense where I was like trying to make like a stand, but I wasn't really making a stand because nobody knew about it.
That's kind of how I feel about that camber thing is like, you know what, old guys making a stand on camber, like who cares, dude?
Yeah, who cares?
Your board flattens out when you think, and I'm not saying who cares that you did that. I'm just saying like, wow, man, like I can't believe that wasn't your like fridge backpack or something, that wasn't the character of your competitive thing that the competition announcers would get onto and be like, here's a guy to watch.
Yeah.
You know, he's not learning into airbags. He's not doing the same run over and over. He doesn't even have a coach. Like, he's been winning forever. He's badass. Like, all right, let's watch his run. Like, but you're saying all those things were true. And then they'd be like, oh, here comes Mikkel Bang.
Yeah. But then again, like the people who knew kind of thing. And for me at the time, that was kind of enough.
That's why when you come to BC and you want to go out in the backcountry, you get to link up with fucking badasses instead of like coming out and having a coach. Okay. Like how do like the coached kids like Mikey and Sean Miskimen and Cicerelli.
Yeah.
Like they still have coaches. Mm-hmm. But the coach can't come out on the snowmobile with them, can they?
No.
So that's...
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Right. But
maybe.
Like
that much I don't know.
Coaches.
I can't say anything on that.
No, there's no possible way that they do.
I've never seen them in the backcountry with the coach, but that would be ridiculous.
It would be ridiculous. So like they're having to leave coached life and go out on their own and be like,
but at the same time, like that's
I might cut all that out, by the way.
No, that's fine. No, I don't think that's insulting.
Good.
I don't think that's insulting.
They came up in a different time.
They came up in a different time, and like when all this was happening in the competitive and right before the Olympics, that stuff started getting so serious. And then when I got injured again, that's when I was just like, you know what? I don't like. I'm not enjoying myself, and then I'm kind of like, what's the point? And then I reached out to Burton and told him that if I'm going to continue doing this, then I just want to film. And they were just like, yeah, okay. And I was just like, what? Because I really in my head I thought I needed to compete.
Right. Because you've been on this team forever.
I thought it was like,
and part of it is competing, right?
I thought that. For me to be on the Burton team, you know, I kind of needed to have that.
So that call to your team manager, was that a hard call to make? Where you're like,
it was definitely it was one of those big decisions, you know, and especially because I know that going to the Olympics would have also given me a lot of benefits, you know.
Totally,
like it's a big deal. You know, it's like if you do well, I mean, if obviously then
you're
Olympian,
especially in Norway. Like,
oh my God, all they care about is like Winter Olympics sports. It's insane.
Yeah, so if you're a gold medal winner of the Olympics in Norway, you're basically set for life, right?
No, No, it doesn't work like that in Norway, but you will definitely be famous.
You'll be famous.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll be famous. It's not like you get money or something from the government. I mean, I think maybe a little bit, but not like some countries.
Some countries really incentivize.
They like,
you're done.
Norway you don't, which is kind of crazy for how important I think it is. Anyway.
So you make the phone call. Did you have to like look yourself up?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to tell him. I'm telling him for sure.
Well, there's more to that story too, actually. Like my friend Luke Mitrani, right before I broke my arm, he broke his neck practicing for the Olympics and almost paralyzed himself. And that was also one of the where I'm just like, what are we doing here, you know?
Yeah.
And then I reached my limit of competitive snowboarding, and my dream filming was literally all I wanted to do. And then when they said yes, I was, hell yeah. Then I've been focusing 100% on filming since then.
That's so sick. With their support.
I gotta say this though, definitely competing helped me get to where I am today.
Oh, of course it did.
So I don't want to take anything away from the competitions, and I had my dream of filming, but I don't think I would have been able to do all the things I have if I didn't go through all the competitions and, kind of getting known and kind of earning respect. And
yeah, well, I think you followed in the footsteps of Craig's the very first person in snowboarding for sure to ever do that. Probably in any sport ever, because this is a new sport from, we got to watch it grow up. But so even when Craig left competition, because his contract he had written with a lot of photo incentives and a lot of matching contest winnings, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He took a fucking crazy pay cut. He had to take a mega, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
The people that I've heard it from, I believe them. It seems like
it's crazy.
He would have had to.
Yeah, it's crazy how much change there has been in the snowboarding industry. Even just the last 20 years when I've been involved.
Yeah. Well, think about Burton is now paying maternity and paternity leave. That was, dude.
That was not even a thing.
Not only was that not a thing, if you got hurt, you were off the team.
Yeah.
You got hurt at your job. You're sorry, dude.
I think also to this point, I'm like Burton right now. They're taking such good care of their riders, and I don't know, a lot. I always thought that when I was 30, that was the limit, and it kind of was for many years. Whenever you were kind of getting close to 30, that was kind of the known thing that your career that's when snowboarding career ends. And now it's it's not like that anymore.
Right.
And it's so cool. And I think what Burton is trying to do as well is for their long-term riders, they're trying to keep them on and help them also transition into if there is, an end of something, that they might help you transition or maybe get you another place in Burton doing something, so marketing important. Or helping the team riders to continue. Cause honestly, Mikey Renz and I have talked about that so many times. It's or actually that's one of the most questions I get from random people.
Yeah.
It's what are you doing after snowboarding? I don't know how many times I've been asked that questions and how many times I've said, I have no idea.
Right.
Because
there is no after snowboarding.
Because this is I literally dedicated my whole life to this, and this is what I know. And
yeah.
And now if I have that question again, I would be I'll probably just work in snowboarding,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm never going to leave snowboarding.
Well, it's good that, so Burton has led the way in a lot of ways. They just have. They were the biggest company. They had the most responsibility. So now with a lot of the social stuff that they're doing, and they've always done the Chill Foundation.
Yeah.
And now they're leading in inclusivity. And it because we're an old sport of a bunch of, that stuff gets, again, the guy who's watching the basketball game to yell at the thing is going to be like, oh, why do we have to do this? And I've seen, like, with Zeb and with Salema, like, I'm so stoked on how that's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, it really is.
I wish that people could just see it innately. Like, look, you're going to sound really dumb in 20 years if you're still saying, like, oh, what's this all about? Like, you're going to sound like our grandparents when they were just saying the most clued out shit. So I'm stoked on Burton in that capacity. Obviously, it's impossible to do it perfectly right. It's
impossible. And all you can do is just like everything in life, you just got to learn, like, look at what happened and learn from anything that's happened. You got to learn, take the good stuff away from this and learn and grow and get better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Donna talked about that with her and Jake and him looking around the room going, it's all dudes. It's all guys and just you. You're the only woman in any of these meetings that we ever have. Like,
diversity, get some more diversity.
We need to get more women in positions of.
And dude, not even team riders, like the whole brand.
The brand, like everything from the bottom up.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to acknowledge, oh, you know what? We didn't look around. We didn't see that we were missing core groups of people, but it's better for business in the long term if we include everybody.
Yeah.
And acknowledging that and then moving forward is like, I think that's what they're doing. That's what it looks like to an outsider. They're bringing on, they're trying to right the direction. Now, there's probably a bunch of old guys yelling at the microphone, yelling in their headphones like, fuck, we don't need any woke bullshit. It's like, no, we're talking about inclusion, right? We're talking about not leaving people out because we've always left them out. That's not cool.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
And sometimes and I was just talking to Mike McDaniel about this, it's like bringing people to the table. It's the people at the table that need to bring the people to the table, right? Not lumping it on people that have not been invited and then saying, hey, you're invited, find your own way here. It's like hard to fucking do because you don't have the resources. Imagine making a, diversity brand right now to try and compete against Burton. Well, Burton's been building boards and making money for 40 years.
I know, a long time.
Yeah, they got a big leg up. So there's responsibility for all of us to, like, I'm stoked. I see it in all the communities I go to. People are like, come on, like, join in.
It's
like,
for everybody,
and
that's we ride together, that's what it is.
Yeah. And you're riding with
it's for everyone.
Zeb up at Whistler, like, that's pretty dope, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. And you're telling him to ride a different board.
No, I didn't. I didn't tell him to ride. No, but I was actually, like, interested to see how that board was working in the woods. But it was pretty amazing. Are you guys
the same stance? Like, can you swap out boards with him and try that?
No, he's goofy.
He is goofy.
I'm regular.
Yeah.
He rode my board. We were doing an avalanche course, and he rode my board, and I think that was. Yeah, I don't think
he wants to try it out, right?
Well, I mean, but it's like
he's like, that's the 170.
I think it would feel really weird to go switch in my stance with a heavy board like that.
Yeah, what's your stance for all the stance nerds out there?
I have front 25.
Yep,
and then back. I think it's -8 or minus 10.
Yeah.
So I have a little bit of duck.
Yep,
but not too much. And then I also angle my high backs
to be in line with your with your heel edge.
Yeah, and then I have forward lean.
Yeah, lots of forward lean probably. Huh? Yeah. I think I've talked about it a lot with stances. People are afraid to go over 15 for some reason, but 15 is basically just straight across.
Honestly,
you got to go over 20 to get that front foot on the right angle.
Dude, it is so, if it makes your turning, it's so much easier to turn. And to be honest with you too, I think when you ride switch, it looks switch.
Yeah, that's smart.
I think it looks cooler when you go and switch too.
I agree.
And I mean, if you had less, it probably would have helped you a little bit going switch, but not really. I feel like.
Not a ton.
No.
What was your contest setup? Like,
this is actually pretty crazy. It was a couple of years when I had more angle on my back foot than my front foot. I basically rode duck stands for a really long time.
Right.
And then I almost had not zero, but I was getting pretty close to just more duck stands. But then there was one year I had a little bit more angle on my back foot
on purpose, like that same thing of not doing the same run every time.
And and I don't know, I just really enjoyed riding switch.
Yep.
And I remember a lot of people like checking out my board and was kind of confused. They're just like, what's your stance?
You're
and then they're looking at it and it's just like
18.
little bit more angle on the back foot. They're like, okay.
I've said it on mic before.
What is this?
Check this out. Because we couldn't change our stances, right? Like the original Craig Kelly Mystery Air was like 45, 15.
Wow.
It was like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was 35, but it was really out. It was
almost
there.
straight.
It was crazy. And then you only had like 3 choices, like the default -1 or the default +1. It was so crazy.
Wow.
But my buddy Chris, so you'd try and like find holes that line up to make it more straight across.
Yeah.
One year his front foot was like, say, 7 degrees.
Yeah.
And his back foot was like plus 15.
Dude, that's almost like where was that ad?
Where they had the binding.
The binding was all crooked. Dude,
one was backwards. Insane.
That's just like some studio, like somebody got the job, like
put that board together.
Probably some really good photographer, like fashion photographers, and they just don't know what snowboarding is.
They have no idea. That's you must.
That's bad though.
You must
bring at least if you have a snowboard company, at least bring someone who knows what they're doing in there. Come on.
Yeah, like even not at the photo shoot, if somebody else is looking at the photos after and going,
like,
what the fuck?
How did nobody see that until it went in? Like,
it's in, like,
was it a joke?
Yeah,
was it a sick joke, or did they do that? Maybe it was marketing, dude.
It could have been marketing because we're talking about it, but I don't know who the hell it was.
I mean, that's
fashion
probably
shit.
a good marketing strategy.
Yeah, I'll put it up right here behind, so like when people are watching this.
Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, there. So what's the craziest version of that you saw during your competitive career? Like someone coming up to you with a camera and saying, "Hey, like," or did you get offers from insane products, or were there
not? I feel like being a Norwegian citizen also, like, I feel like it was easier to get sponsors if you were an American rider.
Oh, of course, yeah. Everybody talks about that are Canadian riders, obviously.
So that was always a thing. Like I remember, like my friends would get like the most random sponsors, you know.
Yeah.
But I've had some random ones too. I used to have a phone network.
Sick
company.
What was it?
It was called DJuice. It's under the biggest like phone network in Norway called Telenor.
Brad.
And I called for free. And then it's pretty funny because I called for free for 2 years, and then the year when that contract was over and I got back on, I got the craziest phone bill because I forgot about how to and I think I was in New Zealand or something, and I was just like calling like crazy because they didn't let me know, and then I came home and I think my bill was at like $6,000 or something.
The first number that you gave me was a Norwegian
number. Yeah
and so like I know that it costs a lot of money because I called Nico, right? Like I called his landline and talked to him for about an hour. Yeah. And then I got like a $40 bill for the one phone
exactly.
call.
It's like as much as you pay in a month, right?
I'm like, what the fuck, dude? But that's just the way it goes, right?
It really is.
Yeah, that's funny that you get like a $6,000 bill because you were just using your phone like normal.
Yeah.
and you're calling international all over the place, talking to your girlfriend who's now your wife, like, you know, for 5 hours or something.
Definitely.
When did you get married? You got married like
I got
in the
married
summer
1 year ago.
A year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Down in Vegas. Like,
November 14th.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's
Las
super
Vegas.
Sick. Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable.
We, everything happened pretty, like, we got married pretty quickly.
Okay.
And because of that, we wanted to kind of keep it just between us in the beginning.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I proposed in Ireland.
Nice.
She has roots. She's American. She has roots in Ireland. And then I proposed there, and then we flew to Vegas and just did it.
Like you proposed and flew and got married.
Yeah, we did.
That's incredible.
That was awesome. I don't think I've ever had that much attention my whole life. Like walking around on the Vegas strip, like in, you know, wedding dress and suit. It was crazy.
And
it was
from
pretty
randos,
cool.
Just from random people?
Random people. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like everybody was congratulating us. It was quite a trip.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it was cool.
How did you meet her? Where is she from?
I actually met her. I was at Mount Baker to do the legendary slalom.
Sick.
And she was there with a friend. And then we met there and then stayed in touch and met in our first date. This is kind of crazy. We met in Ireland for our first date.
No way.
Yeah, because she was traveling. She was in Indonesia, and I was traveling, and then she was going to Ireland because she has roots there.
Yeah.
And then I had always wanted to go to Ireland, even though
spot.
I'd never been. It was so close to Norway.
Yeah.
So I just took a flight over, and then we met there, and then the rest is history, really.
Wait, was the first date when you proposed and then you...
No. Okay, so no. Oh,
that would be pretty.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be
we dated. We dated we started seeing each other, dated for a while, and then we went back.
Yeah.
To Ireland.
And you're
again.
feeling this, you're like, hey, this is where our first date was.
Yeah, because we were living in different places, right? So, and staying in Norway, you can only stay in Norway for 3 months at a time. As a foreigner.
Visitor visa, yeah.
And then when she had stayed her 3 months, we had to meet elsewhere. And then Ireland is one of the countries that's not a part of the Schengen countries, which is like it's in the system. It basically means that they're not a part of the, like you can go to Ireland because it's not a part of
the European Union,
something like that. Yeah, or Norway is not a part of the European Union.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh man, really? Because of that oil thing that we talked about.
We never have been a part of the.
Because financially, it just doesn't make sense for you guys.
Yeah, I think so.
Probably, right?
Yeah,
because my rudimentary understanding of Norway is that they found oil in pre-80s, because in the 80s there was a boom, and then there was like this crazy drought that put the price way up, and then the price like just fell.
Yeah,
and the Norwegian government was banking on the price going up forever.
Mm-hmm.
And when it fell, the country was in trouble. And as were Canada and the States, all over the place. And they vowed to not have that happen again. So they made a sensible plan on how to use the oil revenue to build a strong economy.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are 40 years later. And I don't know if it's the strongest economy of any in the world. It's definitely one of the strongest in Europe.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Norway's doing pretty good.
Yeah, like per capita, I remember hearing
I can't go too in depth with that stuff because I can't give you like real answers. But feel very lucky to have been growing up there, and there's a lot of benefits.
The crazy thing you told me though is that those benefits come at a tax cost.
Yeah.
Which I've never heard before. I remember saying to people that Denmark has a 50% tax, and they're like, what, 50%?
Yeah, it's the same in Norway.
Yeah.
And in some cases might be more too.
So you've been paying tax over 50%
I actually
on
pay.
all your
I
stuff?
actually pay taxes in the States, and Norway. So I get the double. I get the double up.
That's no good.
Well, at least because I pay so much taxes, I can also like write off a bunch of stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff. So I do get like tax returns.
Yep.
Although I'm waiting for my tax return from the States. They owe me money for actually 4 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
They don't like owing people money, I guess.
No, they make it really difficult to get the money back, and then, which I understand, but it's time, IRS.
Yeah. Come on,
give me my tax return.
That's sick. Yeah, man. So, are you guys living in Squamish now, or living together in Bellingham? Like, I know her family's from Bellingham.
Yeah. So, this is pretty cool. My wife's name is Cashel, and Cashel Bang now, and her parents she's from Bellingham. So basically that is my like base. Yeah. And then Canada being like my favorite place to snowboard in the world. It's right next door. Yeah. So right now I'm staying at Mikey Renz's house. Yeah. I'm just renting a room.
It's like under 2 hours door to door, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Like
yeah.
There's no
on a good day, hour 45.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's insane. So it's really, really, really good setup. And then basically what I do is that I stay in BC all winter, have BC as a base. Yep. And then travel around from here.
Yeah, you're going to do a Japan trip this year, I'd imagine.
We're doing a new project with Burton.
Sick.
It's actually going to be the first 2-year project with Burton ever.
Oh, that's going to be badass.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. We got a cool group of riders. So we are currently on the 2nd year.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So there's already stuff in the can.
There's already stuff in the can.
Nice.
Now we just got to add on to it.
Who are the dudes? Who are the people in it? Can you say?
Yeah, for sure. It's Ben Ferguson.
Sick.
It's Danny Davis.
Wow.
Brock Crouch.
Nice.
Mark McMorris. Seb Powell. Raibu. Myself. And we got Anna Gasser now, I think. Yeah. Yeah, Anna Gasser. Maria Thompson is in.
Sick. Danish.
Yeah, she's yeah, it's kind of cool actually. I can like talk to her.
That's awesome.
And then Ilfa, and then who else? Oh, Zoe.
Oh, this is a mega project.
Yeah, so
That's rad.
And it originally was supposed to be a smaller crew, but then they have added on people, so forget me if I forgot someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I think Mikey too might have some stuff in there, but he's also like helping out a bunch. And then
That's rad. I
and
miss
then
those
also
days.
and then we were in Japan last year, and then we're gonna some of the riders are gonna go to Japan, but I think I'm not, because Ben Ferguson and I spent 6 weeks in Japan last season.
So you've got a segment.
We got stuff. I would have loved to add it onto it, but
last year in Japan was incredible too.
Yeah,
what a time.
Oh man, and Japan is just so consistent. Yeah, the snow, how it snows just when it starts snowing there, it just keeps snowing. Yeah, it's awesome.
Looked like JX.
Dude, actually, like if you haven't been there, like, and for any other people who are listening that hasn't been to Japan, like, that is such a good place to, if you're going to save up some money to go on a snowboard vacation, like going to the North Island in like February, you're like guaranteed powder.
Sick.
Sick. It's like, if you don't get powder there, then you were really, really unlucky. So.
Vista Tours, I'm shouting you guys out here. Let's get a thing going on in February of this year for Japan. Yeah. Yeah, and also not just the snowboarding part, just Japan in general is such a cool place to travel to. People I'd
are
like
really
to take my daughter there. She's like always wanted to go to Japan.
People are so friendly and polite, and the food too. The food is just amazing.
Sick.
Yeah, and just different, you know?
Yeah, of course. Of
So
course.
it's
What's your
like-
favorite food from Japan? Like if you were to go there for dinner tonight, where would you go?
I like Japanese barbecue.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the like Wagyu. You know that Wagyu means Japanese cow?
That's all it means.
Yeah.
Wagyu. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was like that marbled beef.
It is, but it's called like that's what Wagyu.
Wagyu just means
That means Japanese cow. But they do treat him like really well, like feed him well and massage him, I think.
Yeah, you can taste it.
No, but and then obviously like sushi is, you know,
Next
can't
level.
go wrong with some
You
sushi.
know, in Vancouver, we have some pretty sick sushi. Like the guy that brought sushi to North America and invented the California roll.
Dude. Oh, really?
Yeah,
Dude,
it's
I mean,
called
there's
Chef
so
Chef-
much good sushi
Oh,
in
it's
Canada.
so good.
Yeah.
Chef Tojo is his name, and his restaurant is called Chef Tojo's. It's right on
Oh.
Granville Street or Broadway,
Yeah.
between Granville and
Huh.
Canby. If you ever want to bring your wife somewhere to like blow her mind,
Yeah.
the dude, he's there. The
Oh,
guy
cool.
who invented the California roll is like greets you at the
That's
door.
legendary. Holy
It's
shit.
so legendary, and like he's like so
That's
low
quite
key.
the
Nobody knows that it's him. Yeah,
Isn't that a pretty cool thing to have invented?
he invented the
California
inside out roll
Wow.
because all rolls had seaweed on the outside.
Yeah.
And he was like, North Americans don't like the seaweed thing.
Yeah.
So hide it behind the rice,
Whoa.
turn it inside out. And
Genius.
Yeah, the dude's a genius. And
Huh.
so you can get that in Vancouver. That's worth doing. If you're traveling to Whistler and you land in Vancouver, make sure you go to Chef Tojo's.
Yeah.
Get get the California
Get the California roll.
You
Yeah.
should do
that's
it.
what
Yeah,
you
for
gotta
sure.
do that.
Yeah, man. But yeah, that's good. I'm excited to go to Japan. I know I'm going to one day.
Yeah.
I have to. I want to go to Alaska too. How young were you the first time you went to Alaska?
I was 18 first time I went to
Holy shit.
Alaska.
So
yeah.
you legitimately were filming and competing at the same time.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, sorry, I'm
the whole-
assuming that the Alaska
actually,
trip
like-
wouldn't have been a contest. There wasn't a bunch of contests up there.
Actually, I did like every year, unless I was injured, I was filming and competing every year since
Dude,
like
that's
my
rad.
whole career. I mean, the first like major snowboard film I was in was White Balance,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I was 13.
Sick.
And every year since that, I was always in a project, like a film project, but I was always competing as well. So I was doing both.
Oh wow.
So like I would go to a contest, and then I would travel somewhere, film, and then I would go to a contest, travel, film, like back and forth.
Did your parents help you with?
There was 1 year I went to Japan 5 times in 1 year.
That's impossible.
Isn't that crazy?
That's every couple of weeks.
Yeah, that was but also during like summer
Okay.
and fall.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it was
that
like,
makes sense.
and then because they have like also like the indoor events and
Damn.
yeah,
Whole other world.
it's pretty crazy.
That's not 5 times in a year. It's
Yeah, that's
mental.
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I went for Nissan X Trail, Tokyo Big Air, and then I went for Nippon Open, and then some promotional stuff. Yeah,
You were competing in the era of like big prize purses. What's the
Yeah.
craziest shit you ever won? Like you win a truck and things like that back in the day?
actually, I never actually won anything crazy like that. I guess the craziest thing that because I didn't win any of those Japanese contests. I was in them.
Yeah.
But the cool thing was like you would show up to a contest and they would just hand you $5,000 when you get to the event
Oh
in an
my
envelope.
God.
Yeah, just like a hey, welcome kind of thing.
What?
Yeah, and then also we would get paid for the contest, but we would have like a welcoming gift, like here
That's
you go.
insane.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
it's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like get money. I mean, if you think about it, like if there's these big, events like that, and you go to Japan, you're doing an indoor event, they're making a lot of money. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
to get a little appearance fee is like kind of should be like that.
Yeah,
You know?
shit.
Because then, you got to pay the tickets. You got to like get there, and
Yeah, and definitely you're risking your life, or at least risking, you're risking your year too if you just get injured, right? Like so.
But I did win a car the first year natural selection.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
which is post all that stuff, like new.
Yeah, that was pretty sick.
A Toyota
I
or
won
something?
it was supposed to be a Ford Bronco.
Okay,
but then I don't think Ford thought that anyone from like outside of the U.S. would win.
Shit.
No
way.
So then it kind of became a problem.
Yeah,
where they were like, "Oh shit, what are we gonna do? We can't send because sending a car to Norway
is more than it costs them to make the car, right?"
Yeah. Oh yeah, it would probably cost the same. It would be equal to what the car is worth.
Unreal.
And then I had a meeting with a bunch of people at Ford, like a Zoom meeting.
I love this.
And I was just like, I remember sitting there and I was like, yeah, really, really needed a car. But I actually did need a car.
Yeah.
And then they ended up actually like giving me, and I told them that I wanted, a truck in Norway. And then they ended up giving me the money to get a Ford truck
to buy a truck in Norway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it worked out really well.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, that Travis energy that he's put into everything, because you were in his projects as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, what was the first Travis Brain Farm thing that you were in?
It was called the Fourth Face.
Fourth Face.
That was such a cool experience, and I just got a random call, and I didn't really know Travis that well. I mean, I had met him at contests and stuff, but we didn't really know.
Yeah, because you guys had competed at contests against each other, right?
Yeah, actually, I think that was actually one of that was really cool. It was Aaron Style, 2007. I was 17 years old in Munich.
Yep.
And Travis was kind of like, it's Travis, and he was one of the favorites. And then when we had the draw, he picked me, and he smashed the ball because it was Bang.
Nice.
And it kind of like, and then I was going against him the first round. Oh, the year before, by the way, I won the rookie challenge that got me into the main event, and then the next year I had to go first round with Travis Rice,
Unreal.
which was it's a 17-year-old,
Yeah, yeah.
And then I beat him with the switchback 10. And then I ended up getting second place at the whole event.
Dope.
Kevin Pierce won.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
the Cat 12. And then Torstein Horgmo got third. Yeah, so that was very memorable. And the second place was, it was cool to get second place, but I remember it was bigger kind of advancing with Travis for
against
me,
Travis, of course,
than actually getting the podium.
He wasn't quite who he is now at that time. He was a badass competitor for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was doing this like double rodeo something, and he couldn't stick it.
It just didn't happen for him.
And I landed switchback 10 like.
Yeah, that's fucking
pretty
badass.
Good. He might have like landed it, but it was like not perfect.
Little flail or something.
Yeah, or something. I think that was what happened. But
so then it's years later before you're in his movie.
Yeah, and then right, and then I'm actually in New Zealand, and I get a phone call, and he's just like, "Hey, it's Travis Rice," and I'm just like, "Oh shit,
rad!
Hey, what's going on?" And then we chatted for a while, and he asked me if I wanted to be in the movie, and I can't really thank him enough because I didn't have that much going on at the time, and his movies are. Everybody
legendary
wants to see him, and so it definitely helped me.
Those movies he was doing like premieres that were at like huge venues, that were sold out. Like mainstream people were going. I think the last one I went to, Justin Trudeau was there.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yeah.
And holy fuck, like Depth Perception, probably still my favorite movie.
Oh, I love that movie.
Just the fact that it's it's such a love letter to snowboarding.
Yeah,
so
and also,
fun to watch.
I mean, the Linestry ride are just like
beyond.
It's crazy.
Imaginary. Like
you can't just go down that stuff. You need to know what you're doing to go down that stuff.
Right. I remember.
And also have the balls to go down that stuff.
My favorite part was that Robin Van Jim was in it and she was just right there with them, and it wasn't like a separate section or something.
Yeah.
It was like, I can't even imagine what it's like to ride with Travis doing his Travis shit. And then you're filming.
I mean, dude, it's insane. I mean, I knew a lot about, I had already spent a lot of time in the backcountry, but mostly riding like jumps and step downs and mini golf kind of stuff, but I didn't know that much about line riding yet. And I was invited for the Japan segment in that movie. And we went to a few places to ride some lines. And that's when I realized, like, I saw the stuff he rode in person and just like, at the time, like I said, I didn't have that much experience and I didn't do it, but he rode some really, really gnarly stuff. And I definitely learned a lot from watching him as well.
Does it feel like he was inviting you as a buddy? Like he's like looking,
he did.
Going like, I need to bring more people into this that when they get good at it, they're going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. You're gonna have to ask him about it, but it kind of felt like he believed in me a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
Which was such a honor, you know.
Well, you had beat him at a contest, right? Like, so he knows.
Yeah.
Like,
he beat me at another big air in X Games, so we're square.
one to one. Right?
Yeah.
But like, it's not hard to see that you were like, if you were to transition to being like a full-on backcountry rider like you have, that some pretty crazy awesome shit's going to come out of that. And it has, so.
Yeah, I definitely want to thank him because there's so many people out there that could have been invited and just
that's got to be a hard thing about being Travis is all the people, because I hear it too, like people saying like, why isn't this guy getting invited? Why isn't that guy getting invited?
I feel like a person like him in his position, he just kind of needs to just like go with whatever he feels, right? Because like you can't listen to everybody.
No, of course not.
It's that's impossible.
And he's such a big powerhouse in snowboarding that he's not, in my opinion, I don't know, but he's not being influenced by outside forces, right? Like Red Bull saying it's got to be all Red Bull guys. You're not even on an energy drink, which is insane.
That's kind of easy to invite me because I don't have an energy drink.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Like if I was on like a different energy
Monster
brand,
or something,
then it would have.
It might be a conflict, right?
So that actually might have been one of the reasons why I got invited too.
Oh, come on. Yeah, maybe, but maybe.
Yeah. It definitely. Right. It's not like it didn't help.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. Do you want to talk about the energy drink thing? Because you did have energy sponsors at some point, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Monster.
I was on Monster. I actually...
Rockstar even too, right?
Well, I was just going to say that year when I was going up against Travis in Aaron Style, Munich, I was going to sign with Rockstar.
Yeah.
But I didn't sign the contract, but they gave me the patch.
Oh.
And I rode with the patch.
Uh-huh.
And then I did well, and then Monster came with an offer, and I hadn't signed the contract, and then they came with a better offer, so
That's a good move
with Monster.
Yeah, that's a really good move.
Yeah. So it all kind of worked out, but also I shouldn't have been riding with the patch when I didn't sign anything. It was kind of like free advertisement, but it helped out. It ended up working in my favor. So
yeah. Whoa, we just had
that
a
was
little
crazy.
flash. Awesome. What time is it? I don't even know. Are they flashing us out of here? Yeah, we got 10 more. It's 4:20.
Yeah,
Time
that's
to go
pretty
smoke
cool.
a giant.
But yeah, I don't know, the energy drink stuff. I kind of messed up a little bit where I wasn't wearing I wasn't representing as much as I should have done. I should have maybe showed some more compassion.
That's one of the reasons in this.
But I mean, I was always wearing the hat and stickers when I was snowboarding, but I guess I wasn't wearing it always.
Out getting the lifestyle stuff and doing all that.
So
and representing
also I feel like that kind of makes sense. And I understand. I mean, I don't know if that's the main reason, but I'm guessing that's what it is, because like I didn't do anything.
Yeah, you're left to guess. That's the problem. I had Anon as a sponsor forever with Burton. Yeah. And I feel like, dude, I mean, when we're talking about it, this context, this whole interview, I'm like, I love Burton. I love Burton.
Yeah.
I don't know if I did that all the time. It's funny when a sponsor leaves, then all of a sudden you're like, well, what did I do?
Yeah, exactly.
Did I talk too much about something, or is it really the budget?
I think
someone will say it's a budget thing, and you go, oh, is it a budget thing?
I don't think. Well, I mean, like, thanks to Burton, I can do what I do.
Right,
like, they're my like foundation.
Right.
Monster would have helped, Yeah,
it
definitely would have helped. It would have helped me in many, many ways.
Yeah, lots of their athletes seem to be well supported.
But I take it as a lesson, and I feel like life is always about that too. Like maybe if somebody is supporting you, like maybe show a little more
love, right?
A little bit more love than because they are supporting, they are paying you, and giving you an opportunity that. So I feel like that's what happened, is that since I didn't, maybe wear the hat enough or something, or show enough engagement, that, someone else that wanted to do that got the opportunity instead of me.
That's a good
point. Which is fair.
Totally
it's
fair.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
So
yeah, as far as Anon goes, for me, I was so sad.
Yeah.
Not when it happened. I was like, I understand. It's totally fine. Like, and thank you. That was the main thing, was like, thank you for, I'm so stoked that I got to say I was working with Burton. I was so stoked that I got to go to the Burton factory, meet with Donna, all the things. TK, are you kidding me? I still talk to that guy.
TK is awesome.
He's the best. But what really happened the most for me was when I went to other goggles. I was like, oh shit. Anon goggles are so badass.
Yeah.
They really, there is a reason that they, oh wow.
Whoa.
What did we just lose?
Is that the,
I don't know what that is.
It's the main lamp.
I think we
just got lamped.
I think we got lamped. I think we just got in the middle of me saying how much I love Anon. No, I really do miss that Burton support. There's something about Burton support that's just a little, that next level up.
Yeah.
And they're not just the support, sorry, the quality of the shit that they make.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
It's, you really need to have it in order to understand, like, just what attention to detail is.
Sure.
That's it. We got
here we go.
All right. Mikkel, we've done 2.5 hours, or 2 hours and 15 minutes. That was such a fun conversation.
Yeah.
We'll have to do it again sometime in the future. Good luck on everything this year.
Thank you.
Like filming, natural selection, obviously you're back on that roster.
Yeah, I got invited back. So we're going to give it another go.
Sign up with me.
Yeah.
In your eyes. Thanks, brother. That was really fun, man.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, you know what? If
really
there's anyone that you want to thank, I'll just play this over the credits or whatever. If there's...
Yeah, I would love to thank my family, my wife, my dear wife, Cashel, and obviously Burton, Dragon, and Nixon for always having my back and helping me continue this dream that we live.
FNRad shoutouts to Mikkel Bang and his sponsors, Burton, Dragon, and Nixon watches. Special thanks to the Common in Squamish, a 24-hour workspace where we recorded this interview in their phone booth. Jess Camira booked the conference room there for our episode last season. That's how I found out about the Common. Thanks as always to our Patreon and the hardcore listeners who stay right to the end. Last and not least, thank you, Kaz Nahui. Your art inspires me, dude. Be sure to come back next week for more FNRad snowboarding presented by Flojoy Water and brought to you by FNRad Productions.